Hey, what's up everybody? BDF 44 coming at you in another video. Alright, so hope everybody's having a fantastic morning. Just thinking about something that happened on the football field. A gentleman ran out on the field with pink, I don't know what you call that stuff, smoke I guess you could say, flare gun type of smoke. He ran out there with the pink flare gun, shirt off, all kinds of stuff. You know how people do. And Wagner from Seattle pushed him as the security was trying to run him off the field. They were trying their best, but they weren't able to keep up with him. He was faster than them. And he runs along the sidelines of the field, and Wagner just takes a few steps in and puts him down. I've seen NFL players do this a million times. And then, when civilians run on the field, streaking or whatever, sometimes the security gets them, sometimes the football player gets them, but as long as they're subdued, get them off the field, goodbye. Problem with this particular situation was this happened in California, and in California, this is the one state in this country where they have a lot of rights to protect trespassers' safety. A trespasser can come into your property, and you have to allow them safety no matter what it is they're trying to do, including taking your property from you. As to where in most states in this union, it's different. So because this was done here, the guy who ran on the field illegally and was subdued righteously is now suing because of the nature of what took place and how he was subdued. Now, somebody mentioned to me that they thought he was celebrating Breast Cancer Awareness Month with his pink smoke. I will acknowledge that that's pretty cool if that's ultimately the reason why all this happened. It's the cause is something I can support, but not the action itself at all. When you run on the field down there with some of the strongest, fastest men alive, and you're slowing down their money, and these is millionaires on top of that, and the security's trying their best to get to you, but these security guards are like older than me in some of these cases, and doing their very best to catch these people with the little legs that they have. And then we have football players who are the richest, fastest, fastest, strongest people in the world on the sideline watching, civilians tear their hamstring trying to chase this idiot. No, that's not real. They're going to stop this guy because they're more equipped to stop him probably than anyone else on the planet. The NFL players are the strongest people alive, man. Them and Navy SEALs, about the strongest people in the world. So why are they going to sit there and watch a security guard, 65 years old, barely catching this guy as they sit there and watch him delay their situation? I just don't think that's real. That's not real. And mind you, what if one of the security guards did pull a hamstring? You know what I mean? What if they did? What if this guy had a knife on him? This state is all about the liability factor. They really don't care a whole lot in regards to this about the realities of the circumstance. That's really what it's about, because the state has been involved in so many counter suits, and there's so many weird things happening here based on entertainment, to where a guy can be clout chasing, do some weird stuff, and then your reaction to that is like 10 times worse. So now they have these stupid little laws in place to protect trespassers because of stupid entertainment crap that's possible. I think that's what it is. You run into these little weird lawsuits where some dummy clout chased somebody and got his head knocked off or something, doing something stupid he shouldn't have did, and now it's like, oh my God, I'm suing. You know how California is. So this is what you get, a lot of this Karen type crap. So anyway, that's why I believe that law is in place, because you get suits here in this state that you get nowhere else. Liability lawsuits that you get nowhere else. So it bleeds into situations like these where it ain't got nothing to do with nothing, but because the law's the way it is, we got to play stupid. I just think we need to evolve. I think there's circumstances where you can look at something and say, okay, that's a unique situation, and we can apply a unique circumstance to that. Yes, it falls in line with our law, this, that, and the third, but as we look at it, face value, there needs to be something else applied to make it make sense to what it is that we're looking at, as opposed to with the laws that we apply to effectively help us manage things that are unique in nature. This isn't that. This is an idiot running on the field who needed to be stopped. The security guards are having a hard time stopping him, and the strong people who were paid to be strong did the job. I didn't see a problem. I didn't see a problem. You know why I don't see a problem? Because I see it like the rest of the country does. If you want to prevent injury, it starts with you. Don't trespass. You created the environment for which the circumstance took place. There's no pushing of you, if not for you first to make a bad decision, which is not within the rules, to get on the field and make your statement, and ultimately whatever happens because of that is your fault. Now, if we applied that logic to other things, and I know it's not as simple as this, but it would be nice if it were. When you apply that logic to other things, it doesn't align the same way. Suddenly, they look at certain things a different way. As, for example, if you're a gang member and you happen to know somebody who happens to be in a gang, they have the right to put you in jail because you know somebody. They have, you didn't necessarily do anything. Guilt by association, stuff like that. Is the same logic applied when we are looking at laws such as these as we do to this one? I don't know. It just seems like it's a lot of ambiguity, if that's the right word. Stuff that just kind of slips through the cracks. You just kind of be like, oh, well, I mean, it's impossible, so we just shrug it off and let it happen. No, you can't let it happen. This is just like weed laws, leaving people locked up in jail for crimes that have to do with marijuana when people are out here making legal money with marijuana. Just seems like one of those type of situations where we just kind of let it slip through the cracks because we don't necessarily feel affected by the reaction or the consequences of that. But there are people who are suffering the consequences of that in jail right now, and no one's fighting for them. There's no voice for them. And I look at situations like these and I say, if you're going to give this guy the benefit of the doubt when he created the environment for which bad things happen to him, then should not the benefit of the doubt be given to people like that who may have broken a law that just simply has been reimagined as no longer a bad thing? Why should they still be punished for old crimes that we now understand aren't crimes at all? So this is something that I want us to take a look at. I understand that things have to be done in order for people to say, oh, okay, we need to look at that. This is time for start looking at some of our laws and saying, okay, can we have an amendment rule where just because something looks a certain way, we can kind of apply our logic to that rather than just applying old laws that simply help us keep honest in situations that are very unique in nature. Because we're smart enough to know that this situation, this little scenario with this guy with the pink crap, ain't the same as whatever situation you're applying this to where you're trying to protect yourself from getting sued. This ain't that. He should not be allowed to run on the field and then cry wolf when he's subdued by people who need to be stopping him. Simple as that. Because if we remove the business and the liability factors and all of that, fact of the matter is the more effective people who were able to stop him did so. And that's exactly what should be taking place. If the NFL had $1.5 billion extra dollars to throw at their security, the security guards that they have down there would be as strong as the football players on the field. That's the point. That's the point. The budget for security isn't at a military level. If it were, the people who were chasing that guy would be as strong as Wagner. That's the point. That's the point. People are like, let security do their job. Security couldn't get it done. They put more money into their football players, obviously, than they do into their security. So the football players, by sheer nature, are more likely to get it done. That's just effectiveness. We ain't talking about business. We ain't talking about nothing. We're just talking about effectiveness. Okay? This would be effective because a lot of times what we do is about money. I keep saying that. When we talk about art and different things, we compromise our lives and the things that we do in our lives because we have to make money. I got a friend of mine who's on a trip she don't want to be on right now. I have to do all kinds of stressful stuff because there's money involved. So she has to live a life unhappy for a moment until the earnings are secure. And these are the type of things that we end up running into. When you're chasing the money and then you run into stuff that just don't make no sense. Now I'm supposed to sit here and watch a 65-year-old man chase a dude down the field while Wagner, 280 pounds of pure muscle, is supposed to sit there and watch because of money. What are you talking about? Like, no, let's remove the money from the situation. Let's look at what we're looking at. We're looking at muscle mass. We're looking at human beings. We're looking at effectiveness. We're looking at a volatility in a threatening situation. Wagner was the hero. He should be thankful for what he did. The guy who ran the field created the environment for which bad things could have happened. He created an opportunity for us to not know what his situation was. For all I know, that pink stuff that he was putting off in the air was poison for everybody to breathe in. He was killing everybody in the arena at the time. Did we even think about that? The what possibilities could have went wrong if he weren't possibly some dude at the second he was? I mean, 100 out of 100 times, it's nothing. But what if this is the one exception? What if this is the weird paradox in the whatever they call it? You know, what if this is the weird moment in time where this one guy actually has a bomb strapped to him, and now we got bigger problems? Now, maybe taking him down probably explodes the bomb, so that's probably not the greatest example, but the point is, you don't know something's unprecedented until it's too late in a lot of situations. And I'm telling you, in that situation, I just want somebody to stop that dude, and the people who were chasing him weren't able to. I could see if the security guards were hot on his tail, but they was falling down, they was slow, they couldn't catch him. He was more athletic than them. That's what my eyesight saw when looking at the footage. And as a former security guard, if I'm down there chasing that dude, I'm looking at Wagner saying, are you gonna help or what? That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm sitting up here. Are you kidding me? When homeboy does this for a living, he smashes bodies for a living, and there's 50 of them on the sideline. And I look over on the other side, and there's another 50 of them superhumans on the sideline. And I'm a security guard, and I'm supposed to do it because it's my job, and liability, and money. Man, I ain't thinking about all that. I ain't thinking about all that. And you know how real this is to me? You think about America and how sheltered we are in regards to our money priorities and liability nonsense. When you get to certain places where none of this matters, it is about reality. It's not about liability, all this different stuff that happens after the moment. You better survive that moment. You better survive that moment. Sitting up here thinking about, in a life or death situation, wow, can I get sued? Oh man, does this make sense? You're gonna be done. There's gonna be overtime for you. And I ain't talking about extra time in basketball. Y'all better learn how to survive out here instead of thinking about some of that stuff. We've allowed greed to take precedence over survival. We've allowed greed to take precedence over what makes sense in the moment. We've allowed the possibility of things going wrong with the numbers to affect how we handle surviving the moment. And I'm telling you that it's not real. That's something that we deal with in our little society of things that we agree with. That ain't real. That ain't how it works in the jungle, so to speak. You know what we are right now? We are domesticated animals. Tigers that have been in an apartment for too long. That's what this is, the equivalent of that. A tiger that's been stuck in an environment where there ain't no wildlife. So when he gets thrown out in that wildlife, he's looking around and he don't know what to do, don't have no survival skills, can't make it. Because we walked ourselves into this space where certain things matter over the moment and the math of the moment, as it pertains to life or death situations or situations such as these, where you really don't know what you're dealing with, but it looks a certain way. Nah, I don't know what that dude was out there to do. I think he was out there to celebrate breast cancer awareness, and I think his entitlement makes him think that he had a right to do that. Entitlement that I don't know where it comes from, but I know that it's there. If he gonna turn around and sue somebody for stopping him from doing something he had no business doing, wasting everyone's time. This whole national television game going on, and he wasting everyone's time, and he feels he has a right to do that, even though he's inconveniencing literally everyone else. And you're gonna reward that behavior by upholding this lawsuit for what exactly? Because somebody else did something else somewhere else and now it cost somebody a bunch of money? Nah, that's stupid. California, that's stupid. We're gonna grow up from that. We're gonna grow up from that. We're not gonna be the state that looks like dummies with funny rules because of that. No. And we gotta grow up out of that. That's what we look like dummies with funny rules. If we look at some of these other states with their laws that we don't agree with, you hear about wacky laws in Google and stuff. Yeah, we got a couple of those right here when you look at situations like this. California. This is unacceptable. As a California native, I want that dude thrown in jail and not given a single dime. And I want Wagner to not be given nothing but a thank you for subduing somebody that the security guards were having a tough time stopping. That's it. Anything that happened to him, if he broke his knee, that's his fault. He created the environment for that. When he stepped his butt on that field, started running around and showing his backside or whatever it was he was trying to do. You put yourself in that situation, anything bad can happen from there to you. And it's very simple. If you don't want to get burnt, you don't put your hand on no fire. It's a very easy way to get burned. Stick your hand right on that fire. And that's how I feel about jumping your butt on that football field when you ain't a football player. You built like me, you go down that field, anything can happen to you. You got there, you smaller than me, you got there, even a little bigger than me. You think you're a big guy. I'm gonna make some time for myself, 15 minutes of fame. The world's gonna see me on the film, and nobody better touch me. No, somebody's gonna touch you. And it ain't gonna be one of the little 120-pound security guards. I 130% support this in terms of Wagner and what he was able to do and stopping that guy. I support that. I want him to be able to do that. The next person that runs on the field, I want the same thing to happen to them. That's what I want as a fan. I think that's what's righteous. I think that's what's just. I think that's the safest overall situation for everybody, including the security guards who don't have a lot. All of us talking about liability, just let them do their jobs. You got to understand, if we're talking about right or wrong, if one of the security guards pulled their hamstring, it's not like they got the best of coverage. It's not like they're going to be able to go back and just get the surgery real quick. You know what I'm saying? Wagner is likely more able to handle the lawsuit thrown at him than that security guard is able to handle an injury that pulls him away from work for a couple months. That's truth. But I know y'all don't care about that because the security guard's not worth anything, so they're not providing anything. So whether or not they tear their hamstring is of no consequence. But if Bobby Wagner somehow hurts himself out there, millions of dollars out. See, the money takes precedent over the reality of the circumstance. Even though Bobby Wagner's clearly not going to hurt himself tossing a little person to the ground, that's the mentality. He's going to hurt that person. They're going to sue us. He's going to hurt himself. We're going to be out of his services. Thus, it makes more sense for the little security guard who doesn't make anything, who can't afford to be out of work, to tear their hamstring trying to stop somebody they can't catch. So nobody gets sued. I'm going to make you see your hypocrisy, people. I'm going to make you look at it. I'm going to make you see how ridiculous it is. I'm going to make you realize that you're putting money over things that make sense. And you're going to go into the ground having earned a lot of money that you never spend because of it. We need to stop that nonsense. We're leaving money for people who are going to take it, put it right back into places where it's being manipulated. You got to stop putting money over the precedent of what makes sense in your life and the betterment of your time. And anything that puts itself in that space is ultimately going to fall apart in nature. It's going to fall apart in terms of its logic, because at the end of the day, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Simple as that. Anytime money is first, a lot of stuff that's supposed to make sense is going to fall by the wayside, because you're going to sit there in whatever environment, in whatever conditions, to earn that money. And that is not what we're supposed to be. We're not supposed to be sitting and suffering. We're not supposed to be sitting in dirt. We're not supposed to be sitting in bad mental health spaces. That's not what the brain is for. That's not what we're for. We've just agreed to do this and how we interact with one another. But that ain't how we're supposed to interact. That provides a lot of unnecessary stress, unnecessary distractive strain on the mind. It deteriorates our ability to think in a way that allows us to be free. So we're easily manipulated. We're easily swayed by narratives and various things. Why? It starts here. It starts right there. When you're able to be bought. When someone could put a price tag on your happiness and on your safety and on what you're willing to do when it's life or death. Somebody put a price tag on that, they got you. And I'm telling you, America, there's been a price tag on that for us for longer than we've been here. That's why we need to undo a lot of this nonsense, and we need to start by pointing out stuff like this. Like that doesn't make no sense at all. Just like the gun laws in some of these states that allow 18-year-olds to buy dual machine guns over the counter and tons of ammo with just ID. Doesn't make any sense, but it's done for money. And that's why the logic falls apart. My name is BDF 44. I thank you all for watching.